thank you for being here. My name is Adolfo.
My name is Mário, Lima, so
okay.
Very nice to meet you.
We're Portuguese, we come from Portugal, okay? And it's a great pleasure for us to be here and to present to you an innovation in terms of hypnosis that we, well, co-created, okay? My friend, how are you feeling today?
Well, I can tell you, first of all, it's good to be connected with everybody, so I'm loving the event so far. Lots of energy, lots of ideas to share, so we have all good friends here, so let's do that right now. So positive vibes.
Yes.
You, my friend?
I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling some influence in the air, okay? We'll tell you why we feel influence and why two and not just one. That's a question that people usually ask us. Why two, not just one? Well, we usually tell it takes two to tango, doesn't it? So we cannot tango just one person. So two to tango. Who are we? As you can see here, where did it all start?
Well, first of all, for me, it all started with a strong passion for hypnosis, so I kind of liked it to help people. But first of all, I decided what was best for me in terms of finding my own way in life and becoming more confident, so I think I discovered hypnosis was the way to do it. So I love communicating, I love the way to teach, so it all started kind of having fun with our street hypnosis ideas, and then it all evolved for training, therapy, for teaching, so, and that's it, we're doing what we love. So
yeah, and besides hypnosis, there's something that connects us too. It's these two projects. We have the dual voice hypnosis training school. Mário is going to talk a little bit about that, and we have the digital hypnosis products online shop, audiostoryhypnosis.com. Okay, that's our baby. It's getting its first steps, and we are going to talk about that in a while. Okay, Mário, what's dual voice hypnosis?
First of all, what we would like to express our message about dual voice hypnosis training school is. We heard about Melissa speaking a few minutes ago about this idea that we don't want to pass this idea that, okay, this is the system, that is the system, so we're not going that route. But there's something we feel that we want to expand our mark on. And the idea is that we feel that to do hypnosis, you have to be hypnosis. That's our way of thinking about stuff, because we always find that some of our friends that were our colleagues when we were learning hypnosis were too attached to the idea of techniques. So what's the technique for this, what's the technique for that, what's the best protocol, what's the worst protocol. So everybody was kind of dwelling on these ideas of which is the best system. We feel all systems can work, but we always found it more interesting to look, how can I make this work? So we expanded this idea that we don't feel hypnosis. Yeah, of course, it's something you learn the techniques, and you have to learn a lot, but at some point you become hypnosis. And when you become hypnosis, you speak to people, and you speak to people in a way that can change lives. So that's the way we feel. And that's the way we want to expand the message on dual voice hypnosis training school. So, of course, we do trainings. Of course, we have a dual voice protocol that we're going to share with you. We have all those innovative ideas because we feel that not only Adolfo but myself, we always had something going on about creativity. We love creativity, so the best things we always created were on our street gigs when we were doing street hypnosis for fun, when we're hanging out in cafes just having fun and doing something cool, oh, this idea, that idea. So we decided to bring something creative. We don't like to do the same as everybody else, not that what everybody else is doing is wrong or because it's good, but we like to leave our own mark, so that's what we did. So dual voice hypnosis trainings, we also do consultancy for companies and individuals. Some people come to us, how can I change this aspect, and we do individual work. So, and that's what we're presenting here. Today we'll talk a bit about dual voice protocol, okay?
Okay, before expanding a little bit more on this, let's talk about audiostoryhypnosis.com. Why? A few years ago, and I go back 15 years ago, I'm a teacher. I'm a professional teacher. I have a degree in education, and I was teaching in Oporto. Everyone knows Oporto? Yes. Great food. Yeah.
It's a very ominous.
Yeah. And I was teaching in Oporto, and I was going by train, And there was a big poster of an ad for Coca-Cola. And it was a beautiful ad because, I don't know if you remember, it was the oldest man on earth was going to meet the youngest person, the baby just born, newborn. And he was delivering him a message. He was taking to him a balloon and a message. And the message is, you are here to be happy. And that poster with that message was there. And I read that, and I was going by the train, crossing the bridge, and I saw that, and I say, wow, that message is there for me. I'm here to be happy. So hypnosis came to me because of that. Unfortunately, some years ago, I found out that we are not here to be happy. That was the most cruel breakthrough that I had. This brain that we have, it has a million years or more than millions and millions of years. It was not made for us to be happy. It was made for us to survive, and that's all. Okay, and to gather the species. So until we are 7 years old, we are programmed. We are conditioned. Obviously, you all know that we are conditioned to live the life that we are living, and we are conditioned because of the programming that our parents, our educators give us, and through hypnosis, okay, and repetition. That's why we created audiostoryhypnosis.com, because we take people to do the same process with our products to reprogram, recondition it, our mind, so we can live the life we want, okay? And I'm not going to expand a little bit, not more on this, because we are here to talk about dual voice hypnosis, and we'll go with that immediately. Okay, what is dual voice hypnosis? Why are you here right now? Okay. If you don't mind, I'm going to read just the first paragraph. The dual voice hypnosis is the art of using synchronized dual voice patterns in order to provide optimal suggestive influence channels in the subconscious mind. Mário is going to share where it all started, but mainly, imagine this. You are in a session, you are in a talk, you are talking to a relative, but you can sing alone, and you can sing with a partner, okay? And when you hear songs that are sung alone, it's a good song, and we feel emotion. But when it's a good partner, you feel something else. You feel something different. You feel more connected, and you go deeper, okay? And that's what dual voice hypnosis really is, okay? I'm not gonna expand a little bit on this.
Okay.
Where's the first ever?
So, about that idea, I was talking about creativity. It was the start of dual voice hypnosis protocol, because at the very early days we were doing a lecture called Hypnosis for Self-Development, and we were running some schools and some Rotary clubs, and basically taking this lecture elsewhere. And one day we were in a Rotary club, and we're doing our lecture as usual, and we used to, at the end of the lecture, people were doing questions and asking, okay, about this, about that, okay. But one day we were tested. So a lady in the back just said, "Oh, you know what? I have a terrible fear that's going on in my life." And we say, "Do you want to share? I'm not sure if you're okay with that." And she said, "No, I don't have any problem in sharing the problem." "Okay, go ahead." And she said, "Oh, the thing is, I'm going to have hip surgery very soon, and I'm basically petrified. I'm frightened as hell." Because I had one previous surgery, but she had two surgeries.
Wrong.
That got messy because of the anesthesia and the recovery. So she had gone through a tough time, and she was basically scared. And she said, "Hey, hypnotist, can you do something about it?" And we said, "Okay, are you willing to come up front? Are you willing to do this work in front of everybody?" She said, "Yeah, okay." So we get a chair. We take the lady here, and it was a moment like we said, "Do you want to do it? Well, do you want to do it?" And at the moment we instantly looked at each other and said, "Why don't we both do it?" And so that was it. So we kind of spontaneously decided to work with a person at the same time, and did that gig. And actually it was so amazing that she then wrote on the Facebook that she completely had forgotten about the phobia, and she was really happy, and everybody was happy with that happening. So from then on, we just expanded on that idea. So it all started very spontaneously, okay? But then we decided to evolve this. And of course, this is the lecture. We had planned a workshop. We have a more detailed workshop with all the samples and all the patterns and all detailed skeleton. We're not going to do that now, but okay, it's just a taste. But then we started evolving everything into getting a complex but easy at the same time system that can help to build great trances and great changes in people.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Why
Learn.
dual voice hypnosis? Why? Well, the first thing that we saw was that it's very quick and very, very quick to get a good trance state. Very, very quick. That when we were working with that lady, and just sharing a little bit, why did you say, why do I work with the lady? Because in our lectures we usually show a little bit practical work, obviously, but we do it in an organized way. I work with a person, he works with a person, I work with the audience, he works with the audience, and then we had run out of you work, I work, so we had to work the two. So none of us were out of the opportunity to work with a person. And what we saw was that lady, in questions of very, very quick, of course there are rapid inductions, there are fast inductions that we can take a person into a deep level of trance, but in that way we were working in a conversational method, and we were taking the person with our method, with dual voice hypnosis, into a deep, very deep trance. We provoked full amnesia to the person at the end in 5 minutes, I think 7 minutes more or less, full amnesia, and we saw that she was in a very good deep trance. It's very, very efficient in getting immediate results and influencing people. When we started working with that lady, that was the first experiment, then we developed this and we found out that it's very efficient. Optimal trance neutrality, obviously. It's good to overcome initial confidence as an hypnotist and hypnotherapist while we're working together. And when we are starting in this business, obviously, I don't feel confident. I don't have the right mental attitude. Are you okay? That's why we hypnotists say close your eyes, probably, because if your eyes closed, I can pull up my script and okay, I can read it now. So we don't need that. Obviously, if we have another person, we have the support of that person. We have an additional external view in understanding the problem or situation. That happened to us. For example, a client of Mario's, a few months ago, he had some issues. He was already in the third and fourth session, and he was having results, but not the results he wanted, because he's very ambitious. So he asked me, okay, let's have a meeting with the client, and we were talking together, and I said, well, why don't we do this? And we did it, and the results was different, because sometimes we don't see, we need an external point of view, and that happened to me also, and he presented that. It's great results in long-lasting changes, and it can take the subject or client out of his or comfort zone. Wow. Imagine this. You go into an hypnotist office and you see 2 hypnotists and not just one. Okay, that's weird, okay, for the client. What's happening here? They feel a little bit intimidated. Okay, and the last part, it's profitable for the hypnotist and hypnotherapist, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, Mario, but what is our view of hypnosis, my friend?
First of all, our review of hypnosis, of course, it's we never kind of like that definition of hypnosis, that when you are doing hypnosis, that idea of doing or being hypnosis. Because we find that it never amused me as an hypnotist to be that kind of person that only does hypnosis in a hypnotherapy office. Because if you think a little bit, what happens is when people go to a hypnosis environment, controlled environment, people kind of start their own processes in advance, because they say, okay, I'm going to the hypnosis. Then what's going to happen in that office? Then maybe everybody kind of has some internal definition of what trance is or what is being in trance. So when the person gets to the office, so it's a pre-process that is happening in the way that trance can more easily, because sometimes there are resistant clients, but there's a precondition that makes trance more available. But what happens is when we did street hypnosis, when we did experiments on conversational hypnosis everywhere and not in a therapy room, we find that sometimes it's not that easy to build that setup to be a hypnotist. And I never was amused to be the hypnotist that only works in a therapy room. So I wanted to be the hypnotist that works everywhere. When I speak, when I talk to people, even when I'm speaking to a friend, and I feel that I'm helping that friend in the way I speak or the way I talk to him. And for me, that's influence always. And for everything that we can see about hypnosis, we kind of like this idea that hypnosis is kind of a mixture, of course, of scientific principles that not all of them are at now this point of time totally known, but we know about neural connections, we know about this idea of learning, but there's also something about the art of presenting suggestions, the art of communication with the automatic mind. So we feel that basically hypnosis is kind of influencing the unconscious mind in a way to stimulate the kind of answers we want. And that has to be done in a way that's also scientific, but is also artful, so that it can be done everywhere, not only on a therapy room. So that's the basic idea.
Okay, that's our view of hypnosis. Okay, so dual voice hypnosis. In Portugal, we have our training system in the hypnosis training school, and we have it's segmented in two phases. Okay, we have hypnosis for influence, the inner influencer, and we have hypnosis for influence, the outer influencer. We strongly believe, and that was for the last article the latest article that we wrote for the Hypnobiz magazine, was to do or to become hypnosis. Why? We strongly believe that hypnosis is something we do because it's a technique. Okay, it's a cool technique, and we all love it. But it's actually when we become hypnosis, and sometimes we shock people when we say this. It's when we become hypnosis that we really can influence people anywhere, any place, okay? And any person, obviously. Why? Because sometimes, has this ever happened to you, when we are in a clinical situation, for example, and we are doing the best technique that we have, the best induction, but the person doesn't have results. And session after session, the person is, okay, I mean, I'm the same. What the hypnotist, as Melissa was saying, the ha-ha moment, we want to produce that, the ha-ha moment. The person, wow, I'm not the same, I'm different, I don't know what happened. The most wonderful thing I can listen from a client is, I don't know what you did, but I don't know, I'm not the same, I don't see the things the same. And obviously we put that on their hands. It's your responsibility, it's you change, not, I just helped you do that. But obviously, every hypnotist wants the person to have their ha-ha moment. And so, in our first segment, we learn our trainees to become hypnosis. That's, we spend immersive training in 1 week, teaching them how to become hypnosis, the inner influence, influencing themselves, okay? And I'm not talking about self-hypnosis. I'm talking about becoming hypnosis. And then, hypnosis for influence, the outer influencer. For this segment, and this, we have decoded what we feel are the 11 steps to really, for effective and efficient hypnosis. 11 steps that go from A to Z and really teach a person, and ourselves, okay, because we were doing something that was effective, but we wanted to know and to find out why, okay? As Melissa said in very well, why? Why is this effective? Why? What are we doing here? Okay, what's the first thing that we do before starting? What's the second thing? What's the third thing? And we found out that we were doing 11 steps. And when sometimes we missed a step, things didn't work out the way we wanted, okay? But when we put that step, the next session and the next session and the next intervention, things worked out, okay? So, and the dual voice hypnosis protocol, that's what we're presenting here, welcome.
Welcome.
Comes from these 11 influence skeleton steps, okay, that we are going to share with you, which they are, okay?
And just before this, I was dwelling on this idea that sometimes when I work with a client, what I find most amusing is some people in the first session come and talk a little bit about, I ask, what's your problem? And people start talking about their problem, and I say, okay, next session we'll deal with that problem, we'll do hypnosis. But then after all, I'm doing hypnosis right from the spot. So sometimes when the person comes to the second session, she says, well, I don't know, I know that today we're going to start a treatment, but I feel different already. And I say, okay, go figure. That's when I feel, and I like to being a hypnotist when I say, we're going to do therapy later, and then everything is changed right from the spot. So that's what I love. Okay. And this idea, first of all, I want to tell you something. This is not just another 11 steps, because you hear everybody on the community saying, okay, I have these 8 steps, I have 5 steps, I have 4 steps. We don't want to be some other people just saying that these are the right steps. What we just want with these steps is to make you try to think in a different way. The kind of perspective Melissa was telling a moment ago, and we completely agree. It's not about how many steps, it's about the perspective. And these steps try to encompass our perspective about what we are doing and how we are doing. So that's the most key element on this, and not the fact that it's 10, 11, 7, or 5. Okay? First step. We feel to do hypnosis everywhere, you have to be in the right mental attitude. We feel that the first process is our own. You have to do something when you're starting a session, when working with a client, when doing something. You have to do something inside yourself to find the right confidence to be a hypnotist, because otherwise people will feel that you're having not that confidence, or feeling that you cannot help the person. So you have to do something. And for me personally is when I sit near the person and I just feel a way to feel inside myself, and I say, okay, I am ready. And that's the moment when I feel hypnosis. That's the moment where I'm ready to start. If I don't do this, we were discussing yesterday at the end, we were discussing this, that sometimes we have 9 sessions during the day. And for me it happens that the last session sometimes takes me extra time, and sometimes it's not the best session. Why? Because I'm worn out, I feel tired, and the thing is, when I try to be hypnosis, I don't become so much hypnosis because I'm tired. And that's when we mess things up. So just disrespecting this first point, it's a way to mess up a session. Of course, first thing, find your own confidence, find your own process. It can be anything, can be think of a image, think of a moment, I don't know, your own process. But for me personally, it's kind of a body feeling. For me, it doesn't work just a mental image, something disconnected. It has to be something to feel inside my body and say, okay, this is me, Mário, hypnotist. Okay, that's the energy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we teach these 11 steps, when someone is beginning, that's what we teach to our beginners. Someone is beginning in this art, what is in the science and the art of hypnosis. We create an analogy with the martial arts. Okay. So imagine a martial artist or a boxer or something going to a fight. So the fight is won before the fight even starts, okay? In the mental attitude that the fighter has. So, and the martial artist has. So that's what Mário was explaining. So the second step, hypnotic friend, not to be too rigorous on this, but imagine this. So imagine that you are a fighter and you are going into the ring. And when you are in the ring, okay, am I pronouncing this correctly? Ring or ring? Ring. Oh,
Ring.
Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Ring. Okay, ring. Sorry. So when you are in the ring, and imagine that the other fighter is out of the ring. Okay, that's not possible. You cannot fight with that person, obviously. So you have to bring that person into the ring. So that's what we call hypnotic friend. So bring that person into the ring so we can do some work with that person. Obviously, we'll expand on that. Reactive test, Mário.
Okay. Basically, the reactive test is something that we are on the early stages of some kind of hypnosis work, trying to. It's like an interaction with a person. So, and I always want to know if at one moment something is being processed in the right way by the person. It can be an emotion. It can be just a way to see. I want to test people's reactions. Sometimes it's being silent, sometimes it's saying something, sometimes it's an embedded command. It's whatever, but it's something that tells me, okay, we're ready to move forward. Because one thing we saw several times in people doing hypnosis in some places is that people sometimes get attached to a script, and I say, okay, close your eyes. Mm-hmm. And then they get the script, and they so, and they do all the script with no notion of timing. And sometimes, in our view, you can have a beautiful script done by some, even Milton Erickson or some of the greatest hypnotists all over the world.
Almond.
You can get whatever you want. But if, for instance, you have a script with several lines, sometimes you may need to spend in the first line, I don't know, much more time than the others, because you need to feel if that line is just getting in. It's getting the feeling, the feedback, the response. So one of these important steps is this reactive test, because you have to pay attention and really pay attention. And that's why we feel that we have to be hypnosis, because if you're worried about your own processes, you're going to be distracted. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling if you're lacking confidence, what will happen is you're going to be paying attention to your own wrong processes, and you're going to miss that. But if you are feeling hypnosis, you can look at someone and you say, okay, I got this is getting in, the communication is getting in, it's being processed. The person's starting to experience trance. Sometimes for me the reactive test is just, again, as I said before, sitting in front of people and say, okay, so you're here today, what do you want to solve with hypnosis? And I see the person like, and I say, okay, I got it. That's it. The reactive test, okay?
Okay. We all know that if we don't have someone's attention, it's going to be very difficult to do hypnosis, obviously. Okay, it's very difficult to do anything if we don't have the person's attention. Even eating soup, my daughter, if I don't have her attention, she won't eat the soup. But obviously, it doesn't have to be the attention on us. Okay, but it has to be the attention on what we want that person to pay attention to. Okay, that's what's important. It's like being a magician. Okay, I'm doing the trick with this hand, but I'm doing something else with the other hand. So, and to conquer attention, there are many ways to do that, but it's a very important step. Mário, and then after that
Okay.
it comes.
After that, it comes one of the most important elements in the art of hypnosis. It's, of course, distract and enter. What do we feel by distract and enter? Something along the way has to happen. In a way we kind of get a soccer analogy or something, that you do some movement that's gonna change the position that the opponent is. If you think of a boxing match, you can just try one punch and then go for the other. If you think of a soccer analogy, I have the opponent and I can do some movement with the body and then skip on the other side. So you have to do something. Of course, we have some specific techniques for that we teach in the workshop, but sometimes it can be an agreement reversal set, it can be a change of voice, it can be an embedded command, but something that you feel that at that moment the conscious mind of the person, you can call it to step aside with a critical fact, or you can use whatever analogy you want. So once again, we're not trying to say this is the absolute truth. It's a way of thinking about stuff. So you have, of course, to know that you have overstepped or overcome or bypassed the critical conscious mind in a way that you know that the person is not judging or criticizing your experience. And if you do that, if you find your art, that's what hypnotic art, we love that moment,
Mm-hmm.
when you just feel that you can just step aside and just go away.
Okay, imagine that you have the next step, stimulate, and this is very important because when you distract and enter, you have to do something with it. Okay, otherwise you will come out. Imagine that you have a cork in your hand, and you throw the cork into the sea. But if you don't do anything, the cork will come back to sand also again. Why? Because the waves will bring the cork. So when we say stimulate, you have to maintain the cork in the sea. Okay, maintain it. It can be floating, not intensify, what Mário is going to say afterwards, but it doesn't have to intensify. The cork doesn't have to go into the water, but it has to keep floating in the sea at least. Okay, next, Mário. Let's fast.
Next step is what we call intensify. We never found very interesting the way of deepening. We don't kind of believe much in deepening because there's no bottom in our unconscious mind. We're feeling that we're intensifying an experience. Of course, deeper is a word that you can use. It's an interesting word, but even so, what you're doing is intensifying the experience and building that rapport.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
You got 10
after
minutes,
that,
so
after
that's
intensification, obviously, we have to stabilize that state, otherwise we don't do any work of this. Then we can immediately.
Okay. After that, we do our intervention. This ninth step is when we intervene with the person, do the change work we want to do.
Okay.
And then
we have the loop. Okay, what's the loop? Well, I usually call it, in the translation to English is pier. In Portuguese we have cais, but it's in an elliptical circle of healthy ideas. Okay, you're feeling great right now. Of course, if we do the work well, of course the person is feeling great. You will feel even better after you open your eyes, and so on and so on. And so it becomes a circle of an elliptical healthy ideas that the person doesn't come out of that. Okay,
Okay.
That's the loop. And then
we have close and exit because we never like the idea of waking up. Okay, we feel that you're spending so much time to build a beautiful trance. Why destroy it? So we like this idea of closing and exit and leave the trance running. So we use close and exit because of that.
Yes, because the person doesn't come out of the trance. If she's
We
in
want
a
the
good
person to
trance,
stay in the trance, not come out of the trance.
she will go with that trance to to her life, obviously. Okay, so why did we explain these 11 steps? Because dual voice hypnosis protocol derives from these 11 steps. Okay, in order for us to build the dual voice hypnosis session, for example, we have to know these 11 steps. And these 11 steps are even more than a technique, obviously. We have a lot of this here, okay? But I want to really focus on this. We became hypnosis before doing hypnosis, and that's different, and Mário said very well. We were discussing that in dinner last night. And we said, well, our first 3-4 sessions in the morning, they are wonderful. But when we are doing hypnosis in the afternoon and late night, it's terrible. The results are not showing the way we wanted. Why? Because we are just doing something. And in the first sessions in the morning, we are becoming. What is becoming? We go first, okay? We go there first. We become what we want the person to become also, okay? And that's energetic. I don't know if you are linked to the part of energy, but that's energetic. People feel that. People feel that, wow, this is something that I really want to. When you are with a happy person, I want to be like that person. When you are with a depressed person, no one wants to be like a depressed person, although we attract those people to our lives. But when you are with a person that it's already in a good trance, it's already in hypnosis, it's hypnosis, we want to follow that person, okay? And what do we do more?
And this concept of Jackie Chan hypnosis, what does this mean? We never liked like rigid scripts. So our basic idea, you can do hypnosis with anything. I'm watching this friend of ours, she's writing on a pad. So what can I say? Whether you try digital writing or whether you try writing in paper, doesn't matter. You can write your own story in life. Because when you write your story in life, you get the best ink to get the best memories, the best emotions. So you can get basically everywhere. You can speak with what's going on with your environment, doing hypnosis based on that. So the way you set it up, the way you think freely, it's the way to make hypnosis fun. Do some touching stories, find your own stories. Sometimes I use stories that happened yesterday and do a hypnosis pattern with that. Why do I need a technique? I can get the story what I did in the supermarket last night and say, okay, I was in the supermarket and having some running to get some shops and that's it. You can use basically whatever you want.
Yeah, that's why we call Jackie Chan hypnosis, because if you ever seen a film of Jackie Chan,
what he does, he fights whatever he has
with his wire, with his carpet, with the chairs. Obviously, we've seen a lot of chairs using. So yeah,
that's it. But
with the chairs, with the walls, and everything. So he uses everything that's in his environment. That's what we do also, and dual voice allows us to do that.
Speed up a little bit.
Yes,
she's trying the photos.
Yes, yes, okay. So dual voice hypnosis sessions. And
okay. So the dual voice hypnosis sessions basically build on those 11 steps. It's the same way, but of course in our workshop we then explain how to each of the steps that we spoke. It can be done with dual voice with the help of a partner. The mental eye, to distract and enter. It's all sorts of games going on, and in each of those steps you can do something to be able to do a full session. With hypnosis style. If you want to do a dual voice
and as your phone is ringing,
trance is happening in the air.
Okay.
And so basically, the idea is for each of the 11 steps, you can do it in a normal way, or you can do it in a dual voice hypnosis. And we have all those games that we explain how to do it in each of those steps to build a whole session in hypnosis with two people working at the same time.
Yeah.
So basically, we want to understand dual voice is more than two people speaking at the same time. It's a kind of synchronized way of doing stuff,
yes.
And all those steps that follow the same matrix and do that.
Exactly. Okay.
We're going to show you a little bit of a taste that we have to rush with.
Who can benefit from these sessions, this kind of session, from dual voice hypnosis? Okay. People who want to experience a more intense and complete trance phenomena. Okay. People who have been unresponsive to hypnosis so far, okay, and this may shock someone, because what we found is that even people that are very analytical, people that are very, well, I don't say skeptical, because skeptic people...
What? 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Not skeptical people, but because skeptical people sometimes go to hypnosis very quickly. But people that have been unresponsive to hypnosis so far, they respond very well to DVH, okay? DVH, dual voice hypnosis. Clients that need and want super fast results, and hypnotists who want to stop hearing the same comment or question. Was I in trance? Okay, at the beginning of our careers, we heard this a lot. Was I in trance? Is this what hypnosis really is? Okay, with dual voice hypnosis, the person stops asking this question because they really feel that something happened. All right. The next one.
The most common applications, of course, it's fears, phobias, anxieties, depressions, coaching, influence scenarios, lectures, workshops. So we're trying to give you a little bit of a taste. It's just going to be 2 or 3 minutes. We don't have to rush for that.
Okay. All right.
So.
Okay, the results and statistics. Okay. I'm just going to go quickly. Our main clients have been in our training. Okay, in our trainings. We have our percentage of success is an average of trans quality and goal-oriented results, and the final number that we have so far is 84% of success rate. All right.
Okay. So we go for the experience now because I think
immediately.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay. All right. Let's move
We're
on.
gonna skip this last slide because
A taste.
we're gonna do this.
Okay. So.
What we're gonna do is just 2-3 minutes because we don't have more time of what we call a sample. It's just to get an idea.
Mm-hmm.
At the intervention phase, so in the session intervention phase, we do something it's called samples. We have more than 20 samples of dual voice. We're going to do a little bit of a segment, just 1-2-3 minutes, and that's it to finish.
Okay. So I don't know if everyone wants to go into a trance. Who wants to go into a trance?
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's good. You don't? No.
No, just watch. Just watch.
Okay. So watch. All right. So. What we are going to, I'm not going to pull out a script, but I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, obviously, okay? So when you're comfortable, close your eyes, please. Okay, thank you very much. And with your eyes closed, I want you to just feel here, and just feel your bottom on your chair. Feel the temperature. And feel the temperature of my voice also. Because my voice has a temperature, and it's an energy temperature. And as you feel that, you can also feel your breathing, obviously, because you are breathing. That same breathing that has been with you all your life so far. That same heart that is beating for you all your life so far. And you can really feel that and hear that. And you don't have to relax right now. But if it has relaxation in your body or in your mind, that's fine too. Because these words are designed to go into your unconscious.
And of course,
and as it goes into your unconscious,
and if you
can relax, obviously,
in life,
but you don't have to relax now.
If
Don't
problems
relax
come
right now.
long way.
Don't relax
or
right
if
now.
it's problems that came in.
You don't need to relax now.
Recently.
You just need to hear my sound of my voice.
A problem, you can find your own way
and
to
continue
solve that
breathing.
problem.
And as you breathe,
and
you can continue
you do that
to breathe
that problem
even
you want
deeper.
To overcome.
And as you breathe
It
even
can
deeper,
be easy to overcome
it's
problems
easy.
in your life.
And those problems, don't, please, keep them in mind.
You have
Keep your
learned
problems in
great
mind.
stuff in life.
Because those
since
problems
you
have
were a little
limited
kid.
you some way.
I don't know if it was in school
And as you
when were
relax,
learning to read
those
letters.
problems
You have so
can
many
become
different letters.
in first
You had
part
to learn
of
the
the mind
alphabet.
right now.
You had to learn the numbers.
And
at first it was so
as you
confusing
think about
to
that
do
problem that
all
has
of
been
that. But
a
the thing
knot
is,
in your head,
then you realize
and you want
the
to unknot
solution.
those knots.
You want to.
And you want to unknot
You
those knots.
understood
Even if
what
here in the
everything
claps, in the other room,
means.
you want to unknot
And then
those
you
knots.
just knew the way
The
to
ropes
go.
are tied
And
together.
the way you wanted.
But
to
the
really
solution is
learn the
coming right now.
solutions. Because
Solutions
come handy
come
in
from
life.
your unconscious mind.
And you overcome
And your
problems
unconscious is
with solutions.
eager to bring the solutions
Your
now.
minds.
But you just have to relax now. You don't have to think about anything else. You just have to think about the temperature. You just have to think about my voice. And you just have to allow a part of your mind to open your eyes when it has to open your eyes. And the other part of your mind is going to just continue with these ideas and take these ideas with you. And when that part of your mind is ready, your eyes will pop open. And the other part will do the work for you. Now. Okay. Thank you very, very much for coming. It was a pleasure and privilege to serve you, obviously.
So we hope you enjoy the rest of your day in Hypnobiz.
Yes.
So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you want.